Salvage, a story by user Rantarian. Chapter 34, Taking Care of Business. Kavaris, Kortai Directorate Core World. The receptionist looked at Adrian with the same pure contempt that he recalled Beckmer possessing. He also recalled just how much he had wanted to crush that snide little Kortai. To this snide little Kortai, he directed a tight smile and a hard gaze. "You need an appointment to see the senior employees," the Kortai said. "Do you have an appointment?" It was clear what answer the Kortai was expecting. If he thought Adrian had an appointment with a senior employee, he would be treating him with a touch more respect. "An appointment?" he asked, feigning confusion and reveling in the Kortai's rapidly escalating sense of self-satisfaction. "I am sorry to inform you that without an appointment—" That was the moment to interrupt. "I don't understand. Gofdik didn't say anything about needing an appointment. He just told me to come in and show all the senior employees my awesome idea." The Kortai hesitated. Adrian had done his research, or had asked it do it for him, and Gofdik was one of the bigger names amongst the senior employees. He was the kind of name you dropped when you wanted to scare the shit out of the prick on the front desk. "Your acquaintances with employee Gofdik?" The Kortai asked with a great deal more respect in his voice. "Close friends with his children," Adrian claimed. "We practically grew up together." The Kortai had managed to achieve a lighter shade of gray. "And you have an invention?" "That's right," Adrian replied cheerfully. "It's a variation on the cornetto, which I'm sure you've heard of. I mean, you'd have to have been living under a rock not to have, even if you don't own any." The Kortai hesitated again. This time he smiled thinly. "I happen to own several," he said so uncertainly that it was nearly a question. Adrian had correctly determined that a large part of Kortai society was pretending to be important until you managed to actually become important. "One is never enough, is it?" Adrian asked. "I myself have had many over the course of my life. Fortunately, my invention is backwards compatible with older versions as well, so if you were to want to upgrade, it would only cost you about 1,000 credits. Very reasonable, all things considered, yes? Of course, even if it wasn't, we're all about to be so rich you could just replace your collection with new models." The Kortai agreed with as much enthusiasm as any Kortai could manage. "So," Adrian said, "can you tell me where to find Gofdik? I don't like to keep him waiting." Askett had been listening through the microcom that Adrian had hidden under his mess of blue fur, waiting for the human to be alone before speaking his mind. "What is a cornetto, anyway?" he asked. The way the human had been talking, it sounded like a must-have item of great expense. "Is it really as valuable as you said?" The human gave a soft chuckle over the link. "Mate, there were some days out in the desert where I would have just about killed for one." Askett made a mental note to acquire several, should he ever find a supplier. "Right now, I am coming up on the security station," Adrian continued, and Askett was back on task. "More fucking robo-slugs." "You're unarmed, so they won't pay you much attention," Askett told him. "But they won't let you near their consoles, and those robo-slugs rarely need to move. What are you going to do?" "Mate," Adrian replied, and Askett could hear the smile in the human's voice. "This next part is down to you." "Me?" Askett asked, not understanding. His part was supposed to start after Adrian had inserted the wireless jack point. "I added a driving path to the cab's nav system," Adrian explained. "Check the databank for the file named Ramraid. You'll want to get out of the vehicle before running it. Take your stuff and be ready to get clear. Once I get to the roof, you will need to get your own way back to base." Askett wasn't sure what was about to happen, but he did what the human said and exited the small electric vehicle. Part of him didn't like the surprise change in plans, but the rest of him was curious, and while he retreated a short distance, it was only to slip into cover, from which he could watch but not be seen. The cab drove its way carefully around the road laid out before the headquarters, and at first Askett wondered how that would be of any use. Surely a simple street cab couldn't provide anything helpful. That was when that simple street cab underwent a sudden burst of acceleration, far faster than anything it was designed to handle. It shook so hard that it roared as it raced up the staircase at the front of the building and gained flight as it reached the top. Moments later, it crashed through the foyer in a thunderous blast of destruction, and the elegant framework that had served as the entrance was crumbling around it to the horrific screams of people and twisting metal. "What have I done?" Askett asked himself in horror, unable to pull his eyes from the scene. This was the most destructive thing he'd ever done. The most irresponsible in public as well. He was a little shocked to find that he was also slightly enjoying it. "Sounds like you've caused a big fucking scene," Adrian replied appreciatively, reminding Askett that the communicator link was still active. "Even the robo-slugs needed to go take a look. Fuck, I'm half tempted to see myself. But there's work to be doing, mate. And now you're really up. Time to do what they're paying you for." Askett shook his head to clear his thoughts. There would be time to consider what had occurred later. Right now, there was just the work they'd planned out, and nothing else. Not if he wanted to stay free at any rate. "You've attached the jack point?" he asked. "Oh, wait. I see it now. Leave this to me and head up. I'll guide you when you get to the executive floors." Goftik sent a message downstairs for another report on what was happening, and received back the same nonsense answer as before. An unoccupied street cab had gone haywire and launched itself through the entrance to land in the foyer, causing enormous amounts of destruction and injury, but thankfully no deaths. They'd said it was an accident, but Goftik wasn't that naive. Street cabs didn't just shoot themselves into buildings. It was far more likely that it had been some sort of attack. He had acted accordingly, ordering corporate security to take care of the scene and not allow anyone to use the confusion to enter the building without identification. He kept his kinetic pulse gun ready just in case. You could never be too careful after all. But he poured himself a full glass of Kaforkti nectar, dripping a single droplet of Nahak venom into the thick syrup to give it a sharp, stimulating effect. He needed the kick. He was sure that today wasn't going to get better before it got worse, and he took up careful watch from his office window. The corporate headquarters for Orators Industries was one of the tallest buildings on Kavaris, eclipsed only by the enormous star-spike tower that breached the atmosphere at the equator. That might be the tallest building on the planet, but Goftik's tower was still tall enough to enjoy the view. That was when the light gunship uncloaked outside his window. Goftik dropped his glass, barely registering the fact that it shattered as it hit the floor, turning it slick with nectar. Instinct took over, and, although in the back of his mind he knew there was no escape, he still turned to flee. The floor at his feet was very slick indeed. Goftik fell, facing his office door as it burst open with the force of a cannon to reveal a blue-haired biped with an angry demeanor. It pointed a furry hand at him. "You Goftik? Bad day to be you, but at least it wasn't Plan B." Without further hesitation, the creature drove Goftik's expensive office table through his big glass window, and the room was filled with the deafening screams of the high-altitude winds outside. The last thing that Goftik was aware of was the creature picking him up without even the slightest hint of effort, and a great leap into the open sky towards the gunship. Goftik blacked out from terror. It had seemed easier that way. Erbzerk Orbital Factory, Main Station. Jennifer Delaney did not want to be here. At Erbzerk Orbital Factory, that was. Although she supposed that she would feel that way anywhere outside of her little home back in Belfast. It was probably repossessed now, with all those missed mortgage payments, but for a little while it had been hers. And unlike space, it hadn't held any total psychos who were trying to kill her, or any dangerous Australian bad boys to develop complicated relationships with. There had been a lot of murders in the past few days. Sick and twisted incidents that revealed a deranged mind, and a lot of them had come with personal messages for Jen. She didn't want to think about them, but it wasn't the sort of thing that you could get out of your mind. It was obvious that he was showing off for her. What he did was to get her attention. How could it not be? But what was less obvious was why. "He's only writing messages to you," Zrypov had observed. "Do you have any idea why that is?" "I have fears about why that is," Jen said. "Like maybe he's working his way up to me. Or maybe he's toying with me to show me how much more clever he is. Or maybe he has other plans. But if he tries anything like that, he'll be nursing his jewels for a month." "This behavior is insane," Zrypov said. "We cannot predict him, and yet we have to stop him. Jen, you are also a human, and this is why we hope you can understand and predict him for us. Tell me what you think, and I will pass it on to the others." That had been another problem. The rumors had spread further and increased in viciousness to the point where Jen could no longer walk freely on the station. She'd been confined to the ship since they'd docked in an effort to mollify public outrage, but as the days progressed and the killer remained uncaught, the mood had further deteriorated. It was already impossible to find anyone willing to do business with them, and that wouldn't be changing until there was justice. "There have been no sightings of any human on the station," Zrypov continued. "They've got hovercams patrolling the streets like you suggested, so that if there was another murder, maybe we'd see something.
But he keeps killing and all we've got is what he leaves us, she replied. It's like he knows where...
She stopped. The thought had come suddenly, and it seemed so obvious that she was angry at herself for not thinking of it earlier. She'd been distracted by other things. Cheer had been right. She shouldn't have gone to the Zottersill. Maybe then she would have thought of it earlier. There would be time to blame herself later.
I know where he is,
she said abruptly, and to Zrypob's great surprise, she carried on before he had a chance to recover.
At least, I think I do. Look, I already told you about how I think he's in disguise, but what if he's also hiding in plain sight?
You think he has a personal cloaking device?
Zrypob asked.
Possibly, but the power requirements...
I think he's joined the militia,
she continued, cutting him off.
That would give him full access to everything. He'd know all our plans, and behind his mask he'll be laughing at us.
Zrypob was silent for a long while, although several times he began to speak only to stop before making any sound. It was clear he was struggling with the ideas she'd presented, but at the same time, he was considering his objections before voicing them. Finally, he spoke.
I think you're right.
Really?
Jen asked in surprise, then quickly recovering her confidence and continuing.
I'm glad.
That was a remarkable piece of reasoning, he said. That would be a very clever way to avoid being found. But how do we use the knowledge against him?
Right,
Jen said.
I have a plan.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one today. A little bit shorter chapter today, but I will be putting out, I'm going to be recording quite a few of them today. I've got some plans with friends later, but I've already got this one done, and it's pretty early in the day, so I'm going to record 2 or 3 more. That way I have the rest for the week, so that I have them, all ready to go when I go and see my mom, so I can just, premiere them, and I don't have to worry about doing anything but hitting a button. So thank you guys so much for bearing with me during the transition and everything. I really appreciate it. I hope that some of the audio is getting better. There's a fucking idea. Should I do every outro in a different voice? Should I just start doing fucking ridiculous voices? Like,
I'll make up a voice that's very nervous. No, this is just one of ProZD's voices, I'm pretty sure at this point. Oh, well, he's like Iron Man, but bad, he's bad guy. He's bad Iron Man. Yes, bad Iron.
Oh, God, I love... If you guys have not checked out ProZD, by the way, former Viner, current YouTuber, all-around hilarious and fun guy. I highly recommend him, by the way. ProZD is one of my favorite people in the world. Very funny guy. But... yeah, kind of off topic, kind of off track here. Sorry, guys. It's been a long week. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being here with me. That whole spiel. I really do appreciate it, guys. We're at 360, 350. I don't even know how many subscribers I have at this point. It's just every time I look at it, it's more, and I can't believe it. So let's see. We'll go to YouTube. We'll go to my channel. We'll look at the channel. 360. I was right. 360 subscribers, guys. That's 360 people. 360 of you wonderful souls who have chosen to be here and get notifications and everything like that. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. We're on our way to 400. So cool beans. That's awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to hit 400. So thanks, guys. You have a great day. Like, comment, subscribe. Patreon link in the description as always. I appreciate you. All of my patrons, shout out. They are in the description as well. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.